Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, the 1986 Pulitzer winning novel. I just finished Lonesome Dove an hour ago, and it is beautifully written, authentic, and stunning the whole way through. I didn't want this book to end, and over the last few days I've been putting off the end of this novel. I didn't want to turn that final page. I didn't feel like I was ready at any point to turn that final page. And unfortunately, you have to turn that final page eventually, and that's what I did, and I am just blown away by what this story is. A love story, an adventure, and an epic final frontier on the last wilderness in America. In a tiny Texas town called Lonesome Dove, we meet unforgettable characters, outlaws, cowboys, heroes, rangers on an epic Western adventure of a lifetime. USA Today said, if you read one Western novel for your life, let it be Lonesome Dove. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me dream, it made me undertake this adventure with these characters. I'm not going to give away any spoilers in this chunky, epic Western adventure, but it made me smile, it made me dream, it made me cry, it made me remember in a way that I feel like I was just blown away by the pages. This book actually came onto my radar for two different reasons. Firstly, it's Stephen King's favorite novel of all time, and as a prolific author and writer himself, that for one is a big deal, whether you love or hate Stephen King, because he has written hundreds of novels at this point in his career. And the second reason it came on my radar is Taylor Sheridan, who is the writer and creator of Yellowstone. Taylor Sheridan actually wrote the foreword for the 40th edition of Lonesome Dove, citing that he had read the book over 35 times and saying that it had changed the course of his entire life. He went from studying law to become a lawyer to becoming an actor who later acted in Sons of Anarchy before writing Yellowstone, the famous Western TV show set up in, obviously, Yellowstone, changing the entire course of his life and the actions that he undertook to get there. And although it hasn't changed my life in that kind of way, at least yet, I did just finish it an hour ago, I can feel why he felt that way. There are certain bits of art that we consume over the course of our life that fundamentally change who we are as people and give us this like almost window into a different life and a different soul and a different version of us. Lonesome Dove is beloved because when you read the pages, you feel like you are there riding a horse next to these beloved, beautiful, honest and real characters, and they feel real. They feel like real characters because they feel like real people as you read them. There are messy flaws, there are honest moments, there is disgust, there is hate. I didn't love every single character in this book, and I feel like I wasn't supposed to. When they're herding cattle or they're in a gunfight or they are at camp, you feel like you're there with them. You feel like you're interacting with them. Larry McMurtry feels like he has some of the best dialogue I've ever read. There is just this interaction and this subtleness of what he does on the page where he doesn't overdo it, but he also does it just on this really balanced stack where you feel like it's going back and forth and you feel like you're standing in between the two people that are speaking and perceiving it in the way that they're intending you to perceive it. There's a quote that I marked as I was reading along in Lonesome Dove that I just wanted to read to you because I felt like it illustrated the beauty of this book. It ain't dying I'm talking about, it's living. I doubt it matters where you die, but it matters where you live. Gus McCrae. And I suppose what I'm reminded of is I read fiction because it teaches those lessons and those hard-hitting moments far greater than what non-fiction ever can. Self-help doesn't feel like it meets the mark, and fiction just in the context of the story and how things unfold feels weightier. It feels like you are there. It feels like that lesson that maybe you could learn from somewhere else is just whacking you over the back of the head time and time again, because it's there in front of you and you can see it playing out in real time. There's a reason that Gandalf is wise. There is a reason that Dumbledore is wise. There is a reason that these characters resonate so much with us as everyday humans, because the things that they say are presented from this place of flaw in character and mistake and lessons learned and honesty. There are two characters that stood out for me in this novel, the first being Woodrow Cole and the second being Augustus McCrae. Both characters are deeply complex, emotionally deep, multi-layered characters. Both of the actions of these two men lead to the ripple effects of what this novel actually is, driving the profound impact of what this novel feels like, while also simultaneously showing how painfully human they are on a page. Gus is a cheeky, live by the seat of his pants, adventurous man who has done things his way. He likes to talk, he doesn't like orders, and he follows his own path. Cole is a deeply multi-layered, disciplined man who gives orders and hasn't faced himself in the way that he needs to face himself to be the leader that he needs to be. There are two other characters that are integral to this story. Lorena, who is being a whore and kept in a saloon and has been told what to do her entire life and decides that she is going to go off and make her own decisions. The other is Newt, who is raised in this cattle outback and raised around men who are stoic and quiet and haven't worked out their own lives, let alone being able to offer him help. He's a young man coming of age, trying to decipher his place in the world. All of these characters just have these layers and this perception and how we view them within this story. Lonesome Dove is an epic adventure of mortality and friendship and the myth of the American West, while highlighting that life is defined by our choices and the consequences that come with those choices, showing us the value of loyalty and the harshness of brutality and triumph, as well as this endless hope, and signifying that the journey is the reason that we do any of this in the first place. And recently I've been back and forth with the journey and the destination, because the journey only exists because the destination exists. But I think that the journey and the destination are both just as valuable as each other, because without the destination, the journey doesn't exist. But without the journey, what is it even for? As I turned the final pages of Lonesome Dove this afternoon, I realized that I was going to miss these characters. I was going to miss this world. I was going to miss the back and forth that these characters had with one another. I felt that there was going to be something empty in my life over the next few weeks. I realized that it has got me through a pretty tough week at that. I thought about the things that it would change in my life. I thought about how stories and novels and art can have this profound effect on how we carry ourselves through the world. And I thought about appreciating those little things that we get to do in our everyday lives. That the mundane is actually more beautiful than we ever give it credit for. Because it's hard to explain the mundane. It's hard to show the mundane. It's hard to realize the value of the mundane until it's gone. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is I'm going to be thinking about Lonesome Dove for a very, very long time. And it's a shame that I'll never get to reread this for the first time. Anyway, that's Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. What an epic adventure. I'm going to miss the hell out of this one. Anyway, in the comments below, let me know if you have read Lonesome Dove. I would love to chat about it down there. And if you haven't read it, let me know if you're planning to read Lonesome Dove in the comments below. And recommend me any other Westerns that I must read in the comments below as well. Thanks for giving me some of your precious time this week. I truly appreciate it. I will see you back here next week. In the meantime, be kind to yourself and be kind to one another.